The sun beat down on the dusty road to Jericho. A man hurried along, his brow furrowed with worry. He was a merchant, and he'd just closed a good deal in Jerusalem. His purse felt pleasantly heavy with the silver coins he'd earned, enough to keep his family comfortable for months. But Jericho was still a good day's journey away, and the road was known to be treacherous. Bandits lurked in the shadows, waiting for unsuspecting travelers like him. He clutched his money bag tighter, quickening his pace. He muttered a little prayer, asking God for protection. He wasn't a particularly religious man, but fear makes even the most skeptical among us call out for help. Suddenly, a shout ripped through the air. Before the man could react, rough hands grabbed him, throwing him to the ground. He cried out, but his voice was lost in the dry wind. 3 men, their faces hidden by ragged scarves, descended upon him like vultures. They ripped his purse away, tearing his tunic in the process. They kicked him, leaving him bruised and bleeding by the side of the road. The man lay there, gasping for air, his body aching. The bandits were gone, vanished into the rocky landscape. He was alone, robbed and injured. He tried to sit up, but pain shot through his ribs. He felt a wave of despair wash over him. "God, why?" he whispered, his voice hoarse. Time passed slowly. The sun climbed higher, baking the earth. The man's throat was parched, and his wounds throbbed. He watched as people passed by on the road. A priest walked past, his robes flowing. He glanced at the man lying there, but hurried on, averting his eyes. Perhaps he was late for an important ceremony, or perhaps he simply didn't want to get involved. Next came a Levite, a man who assisted the priests in the temple. The injured man felt a flicker of hope. Surely a man of God would help him. But the Levite too stopped, looked down at him, and then crossed to the other side of the road, continuing on his journey. The man felt the last of his hope drain away. He was going to die here, alone and forgotten. He closed his eyes, surrendering to his fate. Then he heard the sound of hooves. A donkey was approaching, and a man was riding it. This man was different. He wasn't dressed in fine robes, nor did he carry himself with an air of importance. He was a Samaritan, a member of a people despised by the Jews. The Samaritan saw the man lying by the road and immediately stopped. He dismounted his donkey and knelt beside the injured man. He examined the man's wounds, his face etched with concern. He didn't ask who the man was or why he was there. He simply saw a man in need. He pulled out a flask of wine and gently cleaned the man's wounds, soothing the burning pain. Then he poured oil over them, a traditional remedy for healing. He tore strips of cloth from his own cloak and carefully bandaged the man's injuries. Lifting him gently, the Samaritan placed the man on his donkey. He walked alongside, leading the animal slowly down the road until they reached an inn. He paid the innkeeper to take care of him, promising to return and pay any further expenses. The next day, the Samaritan had to continue his journey. He gave the innkeeper 2 silver coins, a generous sum, and said, "Take care of him. If you spend more than this, I will repay you when I return." Then he left, leaving the man in the care of the innkeeper. The man slowly recovered, thanks to the kindness of the Samaritan. He couldn't believe that a man from a despised group would show him such compassion, while those who were supposed to be righteous had ignored his suffering. He learned a valuable lesson that day about the true meaning of love and compassion. Now, let's talk about what this story, the parable of the Good Samaritan, really means for us today. It's not just a nice story about helping someone in need. It's a powerful message about who our neighbor truly is and how we are called to love. Think about the priest and the Levite. They were religious leaders, people who were supposed to be examples of God's love. They knew the scriptures, they performed the rituals, but they failed to show basic human compassion. Why? Maybe they were afraid of becoming ritually unclean by touching a possibly dead man. Maybe they were worried about being late for their duties. Maybe they just didn't want to get involved. Whatever their reasons, they prioritize their own comfort and convenience over the needs of a suffering human being. And that's the trap we can all fall into. We can get so caught up in our own lives, our own problems, our own routines, that we become blind to the needs of those around us. The Samaritan, on the other hand, saw the man as a human being, someone worthy of his help, regardless of his background or social status. He didn't care that the man was a Jew, a member of a group that looked down on Samaritans. He didn't worry about getting his hands dirty or being delayed on his journey. He simply saw a person in need and acted with compassion. That's the key, isn't it? Compassion. It's the ability to see the suffering of others and to feel moved to do something about it. It's not just feeling sorry for someone, it's taking action to alleviate their pain. And who is our neighbor? Jesus makes it clear. It's not just the people who are like us, the people who live near us, the people who share our beliefs. Our neighbor is anyone who needs our help, anyone who is suffering, anyone who is in need of our compassion. Sometimes our neighbor is someone we don't even like. Maybe it's someone who has wronged us, someone who holds different beliefs, someone who comes from a different background. But Jesus calls us to love even our enemies, to show compassion to those who are different from us. This isn't always easy. It's challenging to step outside of our comfort zones, to reach out to people who are different from us, to put the needs of others before our own. But that's what it means to follow Jesus. It means living a life of love, compassion, and service to others. How can we apply this to our own lives? It starts with being aware. Pay attention to the people around you. Look for opportunities to help. Maybe it's as simple as offering a kind word to someone who looks sad, or helping an elderly person carry their groceries, or donating to a local charity. It might mean getting involved in your community, volunteering your time to help the less fortunate, or advocating for justice and equality. It might mean challenging your own prejudices and biases, learning to see the world from a different perspective, and reaching out to people who are different from you. It's not about grand gestures or heroic acts. It's about the small, everyday acts of kindness and compassion that make a difference in the lives of others. It's about living a life of love, a life that reflects the love of God. Remember the man lying injured by the side of the road, and remember the Samaritan who saw him not as a stranger, but as a neighbor in need. Let that story inspire you to be a good Samaritan in your own life, to show compassion to everyone you meet, and to live a life of love and service to others. Think about the people you encounter every day. The cashier at the grocery store, the person sitting next to you on the bus, the homeless person on the street corner. Do you see them as individuals, as human beings with their own stories and struggles? Or do you just see them as obstacles in your way, as nameless faces in the crowd? Jesus calls us to see the world with new eyes, to see the potential for good in everyone, to see the face of God in every human being. And when we do that, we can't help but be moved to action, to reach out and offer a helping hand, to show compassion and love to everyone we meet. It's a challenging call, but it's also a rewarding one, because when we live a life of love and service, we not only make a difference in the lives of others, but we also find true joy and fulfillment in our own lives. We discover the true meaning of discipleship, the true meaning of following Jesus. So go out there and be a good Samaritan, show compassion, offer a helping hand, and live a life of love. The world needs more good Samaritans, and you can be one of them.